So now in lesson 2, we're going to now work with these 3 clips that we imported in lesson 1, and we're going to see how we can, what each panel does, and get into some basic navigation. So, as mentioned before, we can tell by looking at these icons that we have video and audio. We have the name of the clip listed right next to the icon. This is, as I mentioned, the project panel. This is where we basically import and bring everything in to our project that we're going to work with. All our assets, which is the overall umbrella term for anything that might be video, audio, graphics, music, etc. Audio. This is where you would bring in, for example, Photoshop files or any other elements that would also complement your video. So that's what happens in the project window, except cancel that. As we know, I accidentally clicked, so that opened the import window. So we have the project panel where we collect our assets and our clips and we work with them there. The source panel to the right, again, you see how I'm clicking and it becomes active, allows us to watch one clip at a time. Program panel, multiple clips, which is connected down here to the timeline. Next to that, tools palette and the audio mixer. That's kind of review. So let's go back here to the project panel. We have, I think this is kind of sort of a very tricked out Excel spreadsheet in a way. And we can, as I mentioned, we can open up, expand this panel by clicking and dragging between 2 windows, and we can sort of resize those panels if we need a little more room. So you can see here, going across, you have different columns that give us information about various pieces of information that give us information about each clip. This is technically known as what's known as metadata. This is information you don't see when you look at the clip, it's just embedded. This is giving us our frame rate. We talked about this at 30 frames per second. This is measuring endpoints and whatnot. There are other columns, for example, here where I could click in here and give this a tape name, clip 1, for example. So that's one thing we could do. We could add additional information here in description. We can add additional information there in the log note. Okay, so, and I have a little scroll bar down here, that will allow me to see those different columns. The bottom, below on the lower left hand side, we have different ways that we can view these clips. Right now I'm in what's known as list view. If I click this other icon, it actually gives me what's known as icon view. So that actually is a little different. It gives me a quick sort of what we call a poster frame or a reference frame for that specific clip, so we kind of have an idea of what it looks like. That's a fine way to work, no problems. I prefer the list view myself most of the time. It's just how I work. I can, again, scroll this other bar, this other button just left of it, up and down, and I can expand the size of my icons. To the right, I have other tools like a find, a search feature, because you do have a search feature here in the window. And you have the new bin where you can create new bins. So if I click that, it creates a folder that I could name and then put my clips inside that folder. So I'll just call this, clip folder for lack of a better term. And I can hit enter and it assigns the name, and then I can literally grab these clips, click, shift, boom, and drag them. You see the hand function, let go, and now you can see that they're sort of off to the right. They're inside that folder. So I can close that folder, expand it, and they're in there. If I double click it, I go into that folder. So now I am only seeing what's inside that folder. If I had clips that were outside of that folder, I would have to come up here to the upper left hand corner where I can step back out of that folder, so to speak. And you can see here it's giving me like a little basic file path, so to speak. So I can go back out. Now I am seeing what's inside that folder, but I can collapse that folder and continue if I were to import other clips, etc. Anyway, let's open that back up, and let's go ahead and just drag this back this way a little bit so we can get a better look at our source monitor. So as you can see, I must have inadvertently clicked car 1, so that shows up in source 1. If I wanted to look at my second clip, I could double click that. It opens up right here in the source panel. If I want to look at 3, I can double click it, but I can also click and drag it in there as well, and it shows me that clip. So let's go back to clip 1, double click. Let's double click again, and boom. You'll always have the name identified up upper left hand corner. There's a little menu here that gives you some options. You could actually backtrack and look at any one of these other clips. Okay, so here I am basically looking at one clip at a time. Okay, this is basically like a media player. I've got a play button right here. I've got a way to go forward 1 frame, forward 1 frame back. I can also grab this blue knob, which is known as the playhead, and this allows me to sort of scroll through or scrub through my video. So you can see that's kind of like a little representation of what I'm looking at. So I can also click here along what's known as the timeline ruler. You can see this has little notches in it. This is measuring frames, which, as we know, each second of video that we're working here is 30 frames per second. So each second contains 30 frames, which are counted here in timecode. We'll talk more about timecode in the next tutorial when we get into some basic editing. So that's how I can quickly navigate through that clip. And again, you see how I click and it follows me. I can also reposition it approximately where I think I'm going to see, for example, the car come in, hit play, and it plays it in real time. And here it comes any second. And there it comes. This is just a shot of this car backing up and pausing in there, and then I think it pulls out. If I want to do that faster, I can hit my space bar to pause it. I can come back and I can hit my JKL keys, which we've talked about, or actually I'm introducing now. So L will play it in regular time. Hit the L key twice, it speeds up. Hit it again, it goes even faster. You can see it's going in fast speed. If I want to go super fast, hit it again and it just goes super fast. K will pause it. J will make it go backwards. Let's try that again. There it goes. J twice, 3 times, goes super fast. It looks here, it's going so fast that it's actually just sort of skipping frames and just jumping very quickly through the action. Okay? So you don't have to sit here and watch this in real time all the time. You can go really quickly through it. So if I want to see this clip now over in my program view, I want to bring it into my timeline, I can simply click and drag and drop it into my timeline. Notice when you click and drag, your pointer turns into like a fist. So boom, I drop it in, there it goes. Now, one great thing about Premiere, the newer versions, is that the file format of the clip that you first drop into the timeline will automatically interpret that file format. And so it creates the settings in that sequence, which is what lives inside the timeline, to match that file format. Now you can use multiple formats in a sequence, just they will all not play what's known as natively, meaning they will not play in their natural state in real time necessarily. They will not be optimized. Enough of that for now, more on that later. So now we can see that by default, because this was the first clip I dropped in, it created a sequence that it's calling Car 1, which is right here on the left. It's got the name of the sequence. The sequence lives inside the timeline. You notice that a second ago this was empty, but when I dropped the clip in, it created a sequence which is represented here in the project panel by this icon here. So that's telling me I have a sequence which is now including one of my clips. In my timeline / within the sequence, which lives inside the timeline, I have multiple tracks. In this case, the default sequence that is set up contains 3 video tracks and 3 audio tracks and what's known as a master track. If you've ever worked with any of the Adobe programs, think of these as layers. Basically the same concept. So here I can also, same kind of thing. This functions similar to the source panel, where I can click along the ruler right here. And now this would be the timeline ruler. And the playhead, this blue thing, which represents the specific frame I'm looking at, jumps to my playhead, jumps to my mouse, or my pointer in this case. Okay, and then the time code follows along, measuring where I'm at. Okay, I can also scrub back and forth. I can do JKLs and go super fast, pause it, go backwards. Sometimes it takes a second for it to recognize the command, and etc. I can resize the size of these layers by clicking here on the right. There's a scroll bar, and that will resize all of my video layers. I can make them bigger, smaller. This does not affect the duration or size of the clip. This is simply for visual display purposes. I can do the same thing on audio. Up and down, make that bigger. Okay, I can grab this clip by clicking and dragging it left and right. It's very the timeline is a very agile. Let's just say it's very user-friendly in that sense. You can actually grab your clips, move them around, and we'll do many more things with those clips. For now, I think that's pretty much some of the basic navigational stuff there. Oh, one thing to mention, as you notice, as I dropped it in the timeline, you also see it here in the program monitor. Now, in the program monitor, same thing. This is synced, essentially, or it's essentially synced to the timeline. So when I hit play there, it plays in the timeline. If I hit stop, it stops in the timeline. If I scrub in the program monitor, then it's also scrubbing in the timeline. You can see it all moving in unison. Okay, so that's one way to do that. Let me show you one last way to drop a clip into the timeline. I'm going to click on the clip. When you see, for example, now that I click on it, it is white, it is highlighted. I can hit delete and it simply goes away. It's out of the timeline. I have not deleted it from as a source file, which we'll talk about in a separate tutorial, but it is at least out of my timeline. So another way that I could do that is by clicking the clip up here in the source and selecting this function right here, which is known as insert, or in this case, overwrite. Both of these allow me to simply drop it into the timeline. The difference is here, I don't position it manually. It will drop automatically wherever I place the playhead. So right here, I'm going to put the playhead back at the very beginning, and if I come here and click insert, for example, it drops the clip. Actually, it accidentally only dropped the audio. I must have deselected the audio. So I'm going to Control Z and get that out of there. Try that again. There we go. So that, in that sense, I didn't have to physically grab it or drag it. I can just drop it right in. So that's the end of lesson 2. That gives you a basic idea of what the panels do, a quick intro and basic navigational tips for moving in and around the program.